Batman loses to all his enemies on the first encounter. Or so that's what a lot of people want you to think. There's a common misconception that goes around that Batman loses all the time on the first encounter against one of his enemies, which is not the case. Sure, there are some enemies that Batman loses to first time around. Notable people are Prometheus, KG Beast, and Deathstroke the Terminator, although this one has some context. But to say Batman loses to all his enemies on first encounter, well, that's just disingenuous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of the first encounters that Batman's had against his rogue gallery. And just for fun, we'll compare it to a big-name Marvel character and see who did better in their first encounters. Let's do this. Starting things off, Batman issue 1, the first encounter with Joker and Catwoman. Starting things off, the Joker is trying to escape. Batman then tries to pursue, and Joker is able to knock him off a bridge. Batman is able to catch up with Joker and beat the shit out of him. Joker then escapes again using gas gun. However, Batman is once again able to catch up to Joker, and along with the help from Robin, is able to beat the shit out of him. A lot of this with Joker evading and running away from Batman, but when they finally get to blows, Batman came out on top. Catwoman's a little different though. The two of them never actually fight. Batman catches Catwoman, takes off her disguise, and recovers what she's stolen. However, Catwoman's able to give them that sweet pussy and is able to escape. Detective Comics issue number 66, the first encounter with Two-Face, who at this point was called Harvey Kent. Their first encounter was not a one-on-one fight, but rather Two-Face and his goons beating up on Batman. Their first real fight saw Two-Face get the shit beat out of him, run away, and then Batman beat him using psychological warfare, that damn coin. World's Finest issue number 3, the first encounter with Scarecrow, which is very similar to Joker. Batman beats the shit out of him, Scarecrow is able to get away, only for the Dark Knight to catch up to him, and Batman and Robin proceed to lay the smackdown, beating the shit out of him in cartoonish and comical way. GG Scarecrow. Batman issue 188, the first encounter with Poison Ivy. This one's also similar to Catwoman, where Poison Ivy and Batman don't actually fight. Batman's too busy beating the shit out of everyone else. Like everyone else. Everyone and their mother are tasting those fists of justice. Finally, when cornered, Poison Ivy tries to pull off a Catwoman and give him that sweet, sweet loving, and climbs away. But Batman hits her with a batarang and throws her in jail. Detective Comics 58, first encounter with Penguin, who surprisingly does better than most when it comes down to first encounters. He's able to spray Batman with a knockout gas and then take Batman hostage. However, they are the dynamic duo and Robin is there to help out Batman. But once Batman's able to get hands on Penguin, it's all over for him and his goons. So all in all, Penguin did better than most, and Batman did kind of lose in his first encounter. Vengeance of Bane, issue number 1, the first encounter with Bane. Despite what people think, Nightfall is not the first time Batman and Bane encountered each other. Bane is busy watching and following Batman, learning about the Dark Knight. And as Batman beats up on these gym bros, and even saves one of their lives, Bane shows up. The two of them posture at each other, and Bane decides to leave. Bane realizing he's not ready for the Dark Knight, which then would lead into Nightfall, where he systematically broke down Batman physically and mentally. So in their first encounter, while there was no fight, Bane had to flee because he knew he wasn't ready for the Dark Knight. Take this for what it is. Batman issue 244, the first fight with Ra's al Ghul. And Batman is kicking the shit out of him in a sword fight until Jimmy Uso, a scorpion, comes out of nowhere and stings Batman. So technically Ra's won this fight, however due to outside scorpion interference. Sorry, it's so silly. But anyways, Bruce comes back and gives Ra's al Ghul a falcon punch to remember. Brave and the Bold, issue 132. This is the first encounter between Batman and Richard Dragon, often considered one of the best fighters in DC. The two of them fight relative to each other, and eventually Richard Dragon is able to convince Batman to stop fighting. Detective Comics Annual, issue number 1, the first encounter with Lady Shiva. The two of them meet at a dock, in which Lady Shiva gets a hard-on because she wants to fight the most skilled, most determined, most artful fighter in the world. Lady Shiva attacks, and Batman casually blocks all her attacks, and then the fight ends. Batman issue number 59, the first encounter with Deadshot, in which Batman beats the shit out of him, and then throws him in jail. Yeah, Deadshot was like a tuxedo-wearing criminal. Don't think about it too much. Batman issue 49, the first encounter with Mad Hatter. Similar to Joker and Scarecrow, he uses a gas gun to get away. However, when the Dark Knight actually puts hands on him, it's GG. Batman issue 121, the first encounter with Mr. Freeze. In this issue, Batman and Robin are in pursuit of Mr. Freeze. He is able to freeze them, however, being Batman and Robin, they are able to break out of their icy prison and proceed to kick the shit out of him. Batman issue 387, the first encounter with Black Mask. Although his first appearance is in the previous issue, this is the first time Batman and Black Mask come face to face. And Black Mask does probably the smartest thing that anyone could. Runs like a little bitch into a fire. Rather get burnt than deal with the Batman. Hell, Batman has to go in there and save his ass. So again, GG. Detective Comics 140, the first encounter with the Riddler, which has a tons of puzzles. Like a ton of puzzles and riddles. And mazes. Yes, there's mazes. And eventually, the Riddler just bitches off and runs away. So all in all, in his first encounters with his major villains, Batman didn't really have too much trouble. A lot of them tried to escape or flee, use gas and various other stuff, but ironically, the Penguin is the one that probably did the best. But let's take a look at how good Spider-Man did in his first encounters. Spider-Man issue number 2, the first encounter with the Vulture. In their first fight, Vulture is able to outmaneuver Spider-Man, kick him in the back of the head, and throws him into a water tower. Spider-Man issue number 3, first encounter with Dr. Octopus, in which Spider-Man busts in and Doc Ock beats the shit out of him. Spider-Man tries his best, but Doc Ock has the advantage. Doc Ock backhands Spider-Man for good measure, and Peter even laments how he lost. Amazing Spider-Man issue number 4, first encounter with the Sandman, in which Spider-Man tries to apprehend the Sandman. Spider-Man then gets hit by Sandman's groin? Knocked back so far, his mask tears, and then he bitch off runs away. Amazing Spider-Man issue number 6, Spider-Man's first encounter with the Lizard. And surprise, surprise, the Lizard kicks the shit out of him. Even in their second encounter, kicks the shit out of him. It's not until the third that Peter's able to administer the antidote, and he still gets the shit kicked out of him. Amazing Spider-Man issue 9, the first encounter with Electro. Say it with me, their first fight, Spider-Man gets the shit kicked out of him. Amazing Spider-Man issue number 15, first encounter with Kraven the Hunter. And guys, if you haven't got the memo yet, Spider-Man got the shit kicked out of him in their first fight. Well, let's take a look at Amazing Spider-Man issue number 20, the first encounter with the Scorpion. And you might be surprised to know that Spider-Man gets the shit kicked out of him. Yes, the Scorpion. Amazing Spider-Man issue number 41, first encounter with the Rhino. And I'll give Peter credit, and no joking, Peter's actually able to get the victory in his first encounter with the Rhino. So good job, Peter. And GG on the Rhino. Amazing Spider-Man issue 46, first encounter with the Shocker. In this, Peter is dealing with an injured arm. When he encounters the Shocker, Shocker proceeds to beat the shit out of him. Not sure if I should count this one because Peter is at a disadvantage, but GG, Shocker wins. Amazing Spider-Man issue number 13, first encounter with Mysterio. And in their first fight, you got it, Peter gets the shit beat out of him by Mysterio. GG. I was going to talk about his first encounter with Green Goblin, but I don't think it would be fair with Peter. In Amazing Spider-Man issue number 14, Peter barely interacts with Green Goblin in a one-on-one fight. Actually, the majority of the time he's fighting other people, including the fucking Hulk. And the one time that they do have a one-on-one fight, yeah, Peter gets thrown down, but Peter uses this to his advantage to get away from the Hulk. So in all fairness, I'm not going to count this either which way. And let's be honest and fair, Peter eventually does get the victory in those issues against his respected villains. However, on the second encounter, not the first. Honestly, Peter's showing in first encounters against his opponents are a lot worse than Batman's. And I know I'm going to hear the excuse that Peter deals with superpowered individuals, but Peter is in fact a superpowered individual, so it kind of washes it out. But here's the thing, it doesn't matter. It's all storytelling, people. See, the whole purpose of a hero losing in the first encounter is to show that they can prevail in the second one. Figure out a weakness, a chink in the armor. But it's not just Batman or Spider-Man. How many times have we seen Superman lose in a first encounter against, say, Darkseid? Or Killmonger versus Black Panther? Or Fantastic Four versus Doctor Doom? Wonder Woman versus Ares? Or the X-Men versus Magneto? I mean, honestly, who would want to read a story where the villain gets defeated in the first two issues? Maybe that's some of the secret sauce on why Batman, Spider-Man, and Superman are around for so long. But hey, next time someone says, well, Batman loses because he always loses his first encounters, well, how about you bring up Spider-Man?